Hi, this is Dick Raditz Jr., and I listen to the Planet Mikey podcast when I'm drinking or sober.
Okay, here we go. The Planet Mikey Show.
He's about to get crazy and wild. Stay for a while. Don't touch your radio dial.
Planet Mikey Show.
Kicking it back, sports talk. Listen to that and stay tuned for some giggles and laughs. Go.
And when people tell you every day you should be in the Hall of Fame, you say no. But you know one thing, what I say, I know one thing, they put me after I die. Because I told my wife already, and I tell my family, my kid, if they put me after I die, don't go.
Welcome to the Planet Mikey Show.
That's tough to listen to, but great to listen to at the same time. The late Luis Tiant, and I always would dread having to ever say that about Luis Tiant, but, you know, here we are. Luis passed away. I'm with Bill Smith, and I'm with Ben Kitchen, and we're going to talk to some people who knew Luis very well in the upcoming moments on this podcast, and we'll dedicate the whole thing to number 23. Do you think they should retire his
Michael
number?
Jordan?
Do you think they should retire Luis' number at Fenway?
That'd be a nice honor.
I think they should.
They waited their ass off to put him in the Hall of Fame. The least they could do is raise his number up there.
Well, he's still not in the Baseball Hall of Fame. That's because those people are stuck-up assholes that don't know what they're doing. But he's in the Red Sox Hall of Fame, and the Red Sox could retire his number.
Sure.
Number 23. Other guys that had it on the Red Sox.
8 years.
Brian Daubach had it. I mean, you know, he's not going to worry about it. Dick Williams had it. Dave Moorhead, who had the number 23. And you know, I used to love when Dave Moorhead would pitch because, you know, if he pitched well like he did in his no-hitter in 1965, the crowd would stand up and yell, Moorhead, Moorhead, you know, until the end of the thing. And it was great. It was kind of funny. Our good friend, my good friend, and Luis Tiant died at the age of 83. Born on November 23rd, 1940. And November 23rd, that's why he was number 23. That's his birthday, right? My brother's birthday is November 23rd. My older brother, Kris. And February 23rd is Smitty's birthday.
That's correct.
My wife's birthday is October 23rd.
Shut up.
Good company. Good company.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Do we have to give Liz a gift now that we know that?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I told you. So I don't have
Shirt
to get
with
her
the
a
number
gift.
23 on it would be nice.
We're going to have Kris.
She actually would love that.
Well, right, of course.
Why not?
We're going to have Kris Meyer join us later. Kris Meyer, of course, the Farrelly Brothers producer extraordinaire who did, you know, something about Mary Dumb and Dumber, and the Lost Son of Havana documentary, which is about Luis Tiant's life. We'll talk to him about that. We'll talk to a teammate and fellow Red Sox pitcher Bill Lee, who's a very good friend of Luis and mine, and about, because, you know, it's one of those things you just got to. The guy was 83 years old. You have to kind of expect. He wasn't feeling well in the last year or so. He'd been going downhill a little bit. But last I heard from his son Daniel was that he was feeling better. But he's no longer with us. He passed away in Wells, Maine, which is where he's been living at the age of 83. Now, for those of you who don't know about Luis Tiant, there's a great story here, because he was a Cuban son of a Cuban superstar. His father, Luis Tiant Sr., was probably the greatest, best known pitcher in the history of Cuba. He also played in the Negro Leagues here in America. When people were still allowed to come from Cuba to America, he came and played in the Negro Leagues, you know, as a younger man, and then went back to Havana where he had to remain because of Castro. You know, they had a policy: you can't go to America, and I think we had a policy in America: you can't go to Cuba.
Yeah.
But who did he play for in Havana?
The Havana Bananas,
The Havana Red Sox.
beautiful thing.
Look at that.
And the story about him, which is the most remarkable thing. Well, I'll get to that because there's so many highlights to this Luis Tiant thing. But it was the Fidel Castro's regime that kept Luis Tiant from leaving to go back to visit his parents. You know, he came here in 1961. He's a young guy, and the contract was bought by the Cleveland Indians. Luis Tiant his contract was bought from the Cuban team for $35,000.
Wow.
And they owned him up here in Cleveland once that happened. But that was all about the Bay of Pigs and all that stuff that was going on. So Luis here from 1961. When did he next see his parents? When Fidel Castro, who's a baseball fan, allowed his parents to travel to the United States to watch Luis pitch in the World Series. He said, you know what? Okay, go ahead. And his parents came. It was the first time he'd seen his parents in 14 years. And his dad was on hand and watching from the stand. His father smoked butts. At the old days, you could smoke butts in Fenway Park.
Yeah.
And so there's pictures of his dad. He's always wearing a hat, and he's got his cigarette in his mouth. He's just great. So he comes to the United States, and he joins the Cleveland Indians farm system as a young guy. Again, without his family, he's been cleaned away from the whole Cuban experience. He goes to 1962. He goes to Charleston, great place for a black Cuban guy. Charleston. He's down there in the South. He pitched to a 15-1 record when he went to AAA Portland. 15-1 in AAA baseball. Wow. They knew he was going to be pretty good. Now, this is back when he had blazing fastball stuff. I mean, he threw hard. He struck out a guy every inning. Including in that 15-1 record in Portland, he had a no-hitter and a one-hitter in back-to-back games. So Louis pitched 2 games in a row, gave up a total of 1 hit in 2 complete games. Wow. Yeah, that's in AAA.
Complete games.
Complete games, of course, yeah. And he's called up by the Indians in mid-July 1964 when I was 10. And his debut was pretty freaking good. July 19th, 1964, Luis Tiant debuted in Major League Baseball for the Indians with a four hit. He gave up 4 singles, 11 strikeout, 3-0 shutout against the defending champion New York Yankees. What a debut. Yankee Stadium, right? The big stage. He finally gets there. He gives up 4 singles, strikes out 11, shuts them down, and they were the American League champions the year before.
64, right? 60. So they were still really good.
60. Well, yeah, right, exactly. They've been in the World Series 61, 62, 63, and 64. But not a bad debut for him. And then in 1968, Louis had one of the greatest pitching seasons in Major League Baseball history. Now you say, well, that's kind of steep, credentials there. Explain that to us, Mikey. Well, he led the American League in earned run average. 1.60 was his ERA. He led the league in shutouts. He had 9 shutouts that season. He had 4 consecutive shutouts. Okay, now that was a record. This is unbelievable. He hits per 9 innings, which is a stat that very few people look at, but it kind of shows your effectiveness. How many hits do you give up as a pitcher per 9 innings of pitching? Well, 5.30 hits per 9, which is a franchise record for Cleveland, which broke Herb Score's record in 1956, and it would be a major league record until Nolan Ryan beat it.
Noli.
At 5.26. So Tiant had 5.3 hits per 9. It's now the record is held by Nolan Ryan, 5.26, basically the same. So at that moment in time, he was on the same level as Nolan Ryan at his very best. Strikeouts per 9. 9.22 strikeouts per 9. He was 21-9. By the way, for a shitty Cleveland team.
62-99 team.
I mean, they almost lost 100 games to the team he pitched for. And so he's out there getting 21 wins and 9 losses. His 168 opponent batting average set a new major league record that year. His 19 strikeouts in a 10-inning performance against the Twins on July 3rd set an American League record for strikeouts in a game at the time. His ERA was 1.60, the lowest in the American League in a half a century since Walter Johnson in the dead ball era in 1919. That's how dominant he was. And, of course, second only in the major leagues to Bob Gibson's unbelievable season with a 1.12 in the very same year, the year of the pitcher, 1968. So a remarkable beginning for him, playing, again, for a really bad team. Luis Tiant was playing for the Indians were awful. They couldn't win shit.
Did you tell me who their best hitter was?
Leon Wagner.
Former Red Sox, Tony Horton.
Oh, yeah, number 11, Tony Horton. But you know what? That year, they were an awful team. The Cleveland Indians, it's like the guys that got traded to Cleveland or the guys that got traded away from Cleveland were the happiest people in baseball history. They loved that. They asked somebody about him when he got traded to Cleveland. Oh, what's the best thing about that? He goes, well, you don't have to make road trips there. Okay, well, good. He had nothing good to say. So the shutouts in a row, I mean, all that stuff, he was remarkable, and he was unhittable, and he had a blazing fastball, and he was unbelievably competitive guy.
Tiant hit 2 home runs in '68 as well.
He did.
He had 2 home runs. Yeah.
Well, there was one year he hit 406.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, I digress. So our condolences will go to Luis Tiant, his wife Maria, who's a doll, and the 3 children, Louis Jr., Isabel, and Daniel Tiant, who is I've been maintained contact with him on a regular basis. We'll talk more about Luis Tiant and his cigars and other things, but let's try to get Bill Lee on the phone. I know he's in an airport somewhere. Flying somewhere, which is what you do when you're in an airport.
Yes,
you're usually flying somewhere, and you don't just go there to hang out.
But with Bill Lee, you never know.
Yeah.
You don't know what he's doing there.
But while we get him on the phone, let's mention our great sponsor, which is the folks at Pro Automotive, the pros at ProAutomotiveMA.com, Dudley and Webster, who fix all my cars all the time whenever I have an issue.
Hello.
Is this Bill Lee, the spaceman?
Say it again. Hello.
Hello. Yes? Is this Bill? Who did we call? Did you call?
Did you just call some random person?
He just called the wrong number. It's not Bill Lee.
I called the number you gave me.
No, I did. We just talked to him.
And that's the same number I pressed.
Hello?
Yo, give me that number.
You know, maybe that's the security inspectors at the airport. They grabbed his phone. They grabbed his phone and it started ringing. Oh,
This guy's bag smells like pot.
That's the weirdest thing ever, Smitty. I've never. Who else is on your dial-up list? You got anybody on there we would like to talk to?
I didn't come here to be made sport of. You sons of bitches. A technical glitch.
Sons of bitches.
That's just, you know who I think we called was Meyer.
No, that wasn't his voice. He has a much deeper voice than that.
He doesn't sound 90.
Howdy.
Hey,
Hey, that's the right guy.
Good timing. Good timing.
you know what's funny? We just called the wrong number. We were trying to get you on the show. We're live on the podcast, and we just called some random guy, and he says, "Hello." It wasn't you. It's very weird.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm at the airport, and it's pretty quiet here.
I was sorry to have to give you the news yesterday about your friend, my friend, and our friend Luis Tiant, Bill. You guys were quite a tandem of oddities when it came to the personality, but fierce competitors on the field. I hearken back to 73, 4, and 5 when Louis averaged 20 wins a season and you averaged 17 wins a season. That was quite a 1-2 punch, but I'm sure that you're extremely sad to hear about your friend.
Well, no, I got to see him. I knew what was happening. I saw him twice after his dialysis. I sat with him the first time. He wasn't allowed to smoke. He wasn't feeling well. His kidneys had shut down. He kicked my leg. He said, "Bill, I've already kicked the bucket." And he said, "You saw the light?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "I went down 3 times. I didn't see shit." So, and then, I saw him the last time, which was 5 days ago, which was Wednesday. And is today Wednesday? That's 7 days ago. So he's been gone for a while. But, I got to say him and I got to make him laugh the last 2 times I saw him. And that's all it made the most to me. And to hug Maria, because Maria, when Louis Sr. died, Louis' mother died in a rocking chair 2 days later, right there in that town just south of
Milton,
Blue Hills Avenue. Yeah. So it was sad. It was, I got to see it 1:08 in the morning. The Aurora Borealis woke me up. I was looking at the ceiling and I saw flashing light going dark light. Dark light, dark light. I went downstairs, and there was the Aurora Borealis over the top of my house, shooting waves to Havana. And that was when he died. And, I feel like I'm blessed that I get to be so close to people, And Kurt Vonnegut said, you just don't die on Earth. You just don't look too good afterwards.
That's true.
So I'm kind of I'm on that genre. That life continues on more in a Buddhistic sense.
You can't kill a spirit.
No, you can't.
Right.
You can't kill the spirit. And it's Halloween time, and everywhere I go, I saw 2 skeletons playing ball on a lawn in Burlington. I went, you don't see that every day.
Now, when was the first? Do you remember the very first time you ever met Tiant?
I saw him when I was pitching against Stan Williams with Cleveland. I came in relief, and my second day at the ballpark, it was a doubleheader. The next day I came, and Louis was running in a Hodgson suit, the kind Boomer used to wear, and he ran 4 laps around the ballpark. He ran a whole mile, and he looked like a little short, Guatemalan that picks cantaloupes. And I'm going, and then I heard it was Luis Tiant, and I look up, and in 1968, if you look it up, Tiant had the greatest year any pitcher ever had.
Yeah, we just talked about it. He had 4 straight shutouts. He had 9 on the season. He had the lowest ERA since anybody. Herb Score or somebody. I don't know.
It was the greatest. It was the greatest year. John Thorne wrote a book on pitching. He said it was the greatest year a pitcher ever had.
Which I believe, and he back then he had a blazing fastball. He was like he had some heat, didn't he? And then
he was little, and he rode the ball up like Seaver, and you couldn't touch it. You could not touch his high fastball. You couldn't lay off of it. And he had that little slider. He was only a 2-pitch pitcher back then. That's all he needed.
Yeah, that's all you need when you got a 1 and a 2. Now, he lost some speed on his fastball after 69-70, an injury-plagued season. He went to Minnesota. He had a fractured scapula, for Christ's sake.
Yes, he did. He had a hairline fracture in his scapula that no one diagnosed, and that's why he was on the pine, and he got the rest he needed. It takes over 6 months, 7 months for a fracture to heal. He finally let it heal, and then he came back, and people don't remember – his worst game ever with the Red Sox was the game that I got nicknamed the Spaceman in Baltimore. He gave up 4 runs in the first inning, didn't get an out. I got a double play with one of his inherited runners. I threw 8 2/3. I beat him 7-4. I go 3 for 5, and I get nicknamed the Spaceman because of Tiant's worst game.
In relief of him. Now, was that 71?
It was 71, the second time we landed on the moon.
Yeah, because in 72, and that's a remarkable. I didn't know. I forgot you came in that as in relief. That's like Babe Ruth trying, the no-hitter game where he got ejected after one batter or something like that.
Yeah.
So in 72, though, this was also crazy because he won a second ERA title with a 1.91. He had won the one, you mentioned 1968. Of course, he won the ERA title then. But in 72, with the Red Sox, 15 wins, 6 losses, 1.91 wins an ERA crown. And that was the beginning, Bill, of his comeback, which was gigantic.
Gigantic. He was 2 pitchers, 2 different types, came back, and, if they bring Moret in for me in the second game, when we win the 6th game on Fisk's home run, we would have been world champs.
Yeah, and that's therein lies the tragedy of the entire story was that, that we're Haley Moret, Jim Burton. We can't, all those, we can't relive that.
They misused Moret so badly in that World Series. They had Drago up 3 times for me in game 2, and we had a 2-1 lead, and man, as soon as they got the leadoff hitter when Bench hit that double down the right field line, I should never have faced Bench in the 9th inning. Right. And I always look upon that as my greatest tragedy, because then I would never have had to have hanged the curveball to Perez, and we would never have not had to turn the double play.
Well, you still left it with
game 7.
You left the game with the lead anyway. But the thing about Louis in that World Series was, didn't he do 3 complete games?
No, because they relieved him in Game 7.
Oh, okay.
In Game 6, they relieved him. He had 2 complete games. Remember, they flew out to the center field fence, and Lynn made the catch in Cincinnati when we won the next game. He threw like so many pitches. He was gassed.
160 pitches. 151, I think. 151 pitches in that game. But that's Louis.
155.
155?
Yeah.
The thing is about Louis, and this is what I noticed every time he pitched, they go out to the mound, let's say his 8th inning, looks like he's getting tired, he gets a base run around or whatever, they go out to talk to him like they're going to take him out of the ball game, and Louis would just stand there shaking his head. No. It's my ball, it's my game. You go back, sit the fuck down.
Yeah, it was his ball, and that was it. In the old days, it was pry this ball out of my cold, dead hand. I wasn't going to give the ball to Lou Krause.
No, right.
You know what I mean?
Why would you? They didn't even give the ball in Kansas City when he pitched there. He sucked.
Exactly.
So in the locker room, okay, because Louis was obviously, and I don't know if he was considered the ace of the staff by everybody on the staff, but it's certainly a role of leadership, and nobody didn't love Luis Tiant.
No, Louis was, I tell you, at fantasy camp, we're doing it with Bobby Collins and Butch Hobson, and we're down at the Pittsburgh on an AstroTurf minor league park in Bradenton where they had spring training. And this guy who owned the thing named Bobby Collins, he was Eddie Collins's nephew for the Maverick Square boy. And he gets to camp, and Louis there, and he's having a rough time, and Collins, so we get a Santeria thing, and we get a chicken, and we get the things and the candles, and we light it. And Louis goes, Bill, you should not fuck around with that, man. That's bad medicine. There's something going to happen to you. So Collins hits a ground ball to me, and I get my foot stuck in the AstroTurf, almost tear up my knee, and I'm laying on the ground, and Louis goes, I told you, Bill, don't fuck with the Santeria.
It's voodoo.
It's voodoo. He loved it. He loved me. He said, Bill, you remind me of my father. He was a shitballing left-hander also.
Yeah, he did pretty well. Louis' dad, didn't he?
Yeah, he was a skinny little guy, and threw the ball all the way to home plate. I was proud of him.
Well, that was one I wanted to mention that because to me, and I tweeted about this, I think that was one of the greatest father-son moments in the history of baseball when his father finally gets to see him after 14 years of being isolated in Cuba and unable to see his son, and Louis can't go visit him. And then Louis going to the World Series. It's 1975. Red Sox are in first place. They bring in Luis Tiant's dad, a Cuban legend pitcher, to throw out the first pitch. He's wearing black street shoes, and Louis holds his jacket, and Louis Sr. takes the ball from the mound. He didn't go in front of the mound. He was on the rubber, and he threw a perfect strike to Carlton Fisk in street clothes. I thought, and Louis
at 69 years old.
At 69 years old. How beautiful was that?
I'm telling you.
You were there for that, right? You were there.
I was Louis' father. I still am Louis' father. I'm going to see Maria and take care of her and take care of Isabel and whatever it takes. I want to get him back. We'll go to Cuba. We'll have a party down there for him, Buena Vista Social Club. We'll have a tremendous time, and all the Red Sox fans. We'll get about 4 charters. We'll go out of Canada, and we'll go down and celebrate Louis' life down in Cuba.
Well, when I met you guys, both you guys, for the first time in 1987 at the fantasy camp, you remember, I was on your team. You were the manager. You remember how shitty I was with a bat. Well, I got up in the game where the pros play against the campers, right? And Louis on the mound. I'm like, okay, I'm facing Luis Tiant, and I suck with a stick. So he throws me 2 sweeping curveballs, and I missed them completely. I said, well, here comes another one. So he throws the same pitch, and I pop up off the fists. It goes right to Denny Doyle at second base, and he catches it. So Louis walking off the field, and I go, Louis, you throw me the same pitch 3 times in a row, and I pop it to Doyle. Louis goes, you're lucky you hit the fucking ball, man.
Yeah, you are lucky, man.
Yeah, and that was my brush with greatness in the big league sense. So you're going to go to Cuba again?
I'm going to go. I'm going to Canada. I'm going right now to the Durham Bulls Park for a women's hardball tournament. The greatest women hardball players in the world are all meeting. 6 teams. Kevin Martin does one. Caldwell, the left-hander like me, is coaching the other, and I'm the boy toy for all the women down.
Well, of course you are, because you're still a young man.
I am, and in heart I am, but I'll tell you, it's just been magical. Ever since I died, I'm more creative. I want to write a book about the 70s called Tiant and Lee and Pray for Rain, and about the highlight of the greatest years of the 70s in baseball. I think were the best years because, I
agree.
Disco wasn't invented.
No, that's perfect. Perfect. Well, Bill, have a safe trip. Thanks for talking to us. We're going to call Rico.
Thanks, guys.
We're going to call Rico.
Give my best and let me know if you know any more information.
Okay, man. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Spaceman Bill Lee, they played together for, I think, all of the 70. Well, Louis left at the end of 78. Both
8 years.
Yeah, 8 years together. And we have a tribute going to the great late Luis Tiant, who passed away a couple days ago. The 7th, I think it was. Was it 7th or was it the 6th?
Your call.
Whoop.
It's not available. At the tone, please record your message.
You know what? We should call Kris Meyer. Let's call Kris Meyer.
Try Rico again.
Let me try Rico one more time.
Oh, wait. Who was that you just called?
Rico.
Oh, that was Rico?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Rico's busy. He's a busy man, you know. He
plays, not available. At the tone.
See that? See, I knew it. I called that one. He's still busy. Kris Meyer, who is the producer of the tremendous, and by the way, if you ever get a chance to watch Lost Son of Havana, it's really, really a remarkable thing, and it's real insightful as far as Luis Tiant's life goes. Because Kris Meyer did well, we'll talk to him about it right now. If he's not busy like Rico. I wonder what Rico's doing. Is this bowling league night for Rico? What's he doing?
Did you tell Kris that?
Yes.
Hello.
Kris, is this Kris?
Who's this?
It's Kris Meyer?
No, this is Greg Monroe.
Oh, sorry.
I think you get,
Did I give him the wrong number? Okay.
Yeah.
So we called you before. We have a wrong number of yours. We thought we were calling somebody named Kris.
This is 508. You're back in Boston, right?
Yeah. So how you doing? while we're here, while we got you on the phone, how you doing? How's the family?
Yeah, everybody, they're all able to sit up and take nourishment.
Good. Well, then you're doing better than some people we know.
What outfit are you?
What?
What outfit are you with?
Well, we're with the FBI. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. We're doing a podcast and we had the wrong number, so you're live on the air with us. So don't say anything you really regret.
Cool. Best of luck to Tennessee and North Carolina.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Thanks for listening. Have a nice night. Have a nice day. Sorry we bothered you.
Take care. Bye.
Maybe we should take a break. Can we do that? In the radio business, when you have technical situations, you take a break.
You gave me the wrong number.
Did I?
You gave me the wrong number.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll stop the whole process. I'll get the right number, and we'll call Kris Meyer, for God's sake. Oh, here we go.
Hello?
Kris Meyer.
Yes, sir.
Mikey Adams, along with Bill Smith and Ben Kitchen. You wouldn't believe what just happened to us. We're live on the podcast, and we had your phone number entered in, and we had one number wrong, the last number.
I blamed you. It was my fault.
It was no. And so
we say, thank God.
We called some guy randomly at his house. He said, hello. I said, how you doing?
Did you have a 718 number?
781. No. It was the last number that was wrong, not the first number.
I'll give you an example. There's a gentleman that has my number except 718 in Brooklyn.
No, that's not who we talked to. This guy was somewhere else.
So I called him, Mike, right? I got a call that someone called him and said, hey, you should call this gentleman. He said, are you looking for the movie guy?
That's you.
I get calls for him 24 hours a day, 365. I ended up inviting he and his wife to the premiere of Stuck on You. No, not Stuck on You. I forget which one, but
one of the premieres.
I felt so bad.
You took care of him. That's just for folks that don't know, Kris Meyer's been on this podcast before. He's a producer, a director extraordinaire. He's a movie guy, and he has been affiliated with such great titles as Something About Mary and Dumb and Dumber, and the reason we have him on the phone today is because with the passing of our friend Luis Tiant, Kris Meyer did a marvelous, remarkable job on the documentary film about Luis Tiant's life called Lost Son of Havana, which I was lucky enough to be at the premiere for, Kris, and it was tremendous. It brought tears to everybody's eyes, and everybody was there. Fred Lynn was there. Louis' family was there. And your thoughts when you first heard about the passing of our friend Luis Tiant?
Oh, man. I Louis was my Cuban grandfather, and it's as if my grandfather passed. And I had just talked to his family recently, and we were trying to get up to visit he and Maria and his family, and we lost a great one, a legend. I mean, as you know, through Louis' life and his journey to the States into Major League Baseball could not have been any more difficult. And despite, all the odds, he continued to push on and carry on and ended up living the dream, and continued right to the day he passed.
Now, you went to Cuba with him, right? You and the crew, and that's got to be, just going to Cuba by itself is a weird experience. But when you're going back with a guy, a native son who made it big in the United States, and who had legitimate tears in his eyes at every turn down there, meeting up with his family members and so on and so forth, and looking at the squalor that Cuba has become, and it just was a remarkable experience watching that movie. When you were going along with him, what kind of feel did you get from him about the emotions he was feeling going back to his home country?
Well, he was excited, but I think he was a little cautiously optimistic, especially at that time, between, the tensions between the U.S. and Cuba that's existed for 60 years now, plus. He was a little hesitant, but again, cautiously optimistic and anxious and excited, to get back to his native country. But when we got there, it was incredible. They have a place called the Caliente Esquina, the hot corner. It's in a park in downtown Havana. Mm-hmm. And guys sit around all day long. There's hundreds of them. And all they do is talk about the history and about baseball. And we brought Louis there when we heard about this place.
Yeah.
And he was sitting around the outside, and everyone, it's incredible. It's almost like our sports radio to a certain extent, except there's no discipline or rules around it, where everyone's yelling at each other on who the best players are presently, in the past, the future. And suddenly someone asks, do you know one of your native sons, Luis Tiant? And someone from the way back yelled, El Tiante! And someone just looked and pointed to Louis because he was sitting quietly in the background. Once someone said, El Tiante again, and next thing you know, he is surrounded, which you've seen in the movie, by hundreds of baseball fans asking about the States, asking about his life in baseball, where he's and why he's here and everything else. And it was just incredible he was so gracious and open to everybody that was there with him. And he was trying to share his life with them.
Well, he's baseball royalty there, too, with his dad's history there. And then, he escaped the communist country. He came to America, made it big, World Series, the whole thing. Now he's back. They must have freaked out when they realized who it was.
I'm sorry, Mike?
They must have freaked out when they realized who that guy was.
Everywhere we went. And then it was interesting when, he was one of our coaches. We had to play baseball, right, around the country.
Yeah.
And it was very cool because as the innings in the game progressed, more and more people, the word spread. And, from 50 to 100 people in the stadium, next thing you know, there's 1,000 people. As the game goes on, El Tiante's here, everyone starts coming. It's pretty amazing.
Amazing. Now, do you remember the first time you ever saw him pitch? Because I remember vividly a game I went to. This was back in the day, it was hard to get good seats to the Red Sox, even in the 70s when they weren't like they were now. But they had a makeup. There was a makeup rain delay. There was a game that got rained out against the Cleveland Indians. They played an afternoon game at Fenway on what had to be the hottest day of the year anywhere. It was like 103, honest to God, at Fenway Park. I had third base seats behind the dugout, and we were all baking, sweating. It was awful. Louis on the mound, pitched 9 innings in that heat at 103 degrees against the Cleveland Indians and had a 3-0 shutout win. And I'm thinking, this guy's got some serious nuts to go out there in this kind of weather.
Michael, sorry to interrupt. How many pitches did he have? Probably 100.5.
Yeah, because he didn't care. There was no such thing as a pitch count with Louis. He wanted...
The guys today, they don't go more than 7, right?
Right. You can't get I was just talking to Bill Lee about this. You couldn't get Louis out of the game. The manager would go out there to take Louis out. Louis would say, no. This is my game. This is my ball. You go sit down, man. It's unbelievable.
Hey, when you're in your zone, it's tough to disrupt that.
Did you have the smell of cigar smoke when you came back from that trip?
Oh, I have it. It's in my skin. It's in me, and I actually had a smoke last night in his honor.
Well, that's the right thing to do when it's Luis Tiant, because he liked the big ropes,
Churchills, the big bombers,
Yeah, he was. And you never saw him without, And the funny thing was, they'd say Louis. You'd see pictures of him in the hot tub when he's getting iced down after the game, and he'd have a cigar going, and he'd come, down at fantasy camp, he'd come out of the shower with a lit cigar. I'd say, Louis, how do you keep your cigar lit in the shower? He'd say, you got to have moves, man.
Yeah. Well, funny thing too is about Lou is I don't know what he did. I used to ask him, and he just kind of brush it off. But he typically when you have a cigar, you stink, right? Your clothes, everything.
Yeah.
He would never stink of cigar smoke. I don't know what it was.
He was immune. He was immune to cigar smoke. It just exuded from his skin and went away.
It was funny though, when we were making the movie one year, I went over to his home, and it was the dead of winter, and there's a snowstorm.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it. As I'm walking by up the driveway to go into his home, I'm walking by one of his cars, and it's snowing, and I didn't even know. He knocks on the window. He's in the car in the driveway.
Smoking.
And he just kind of waves me to come around to get in the car.
Yeah.
And I come around, and I said, Lou, what are you doing? He said, I'm smoking. I said, how long have you been out here? He loves disco. He was cranking the disco, which I love too. And he said, oh, no, I've been out here for 4 hours. I'm like, 4 hours? I said, I can't smoke in the house. I just been smoking and listening to my disco and calling people.
Well, they wouldn't let him smoke because the cigars in the house. I was at a golf tournament. He said the same thing.
I understand that because I can't do that out.
Right. But at the golf tournament, he's going, they said you can only smoke over there. So we're over in the corner of the parking lot. And at this golf tournament, he goes, it's like at my house. I can't smoke in my house. I say, fuck you. I built this fucking house. And they wouldn't let him smoke in his own house, because the stogies. He was the best, man. I'm sure that you're just as sad as we all are. You knew him better than most people ever would, based on that the documentary. Which, by the way, to this day, Kris, I give you all straight A's on that, my friend. That was
Mike. You and Bill and Red Sox Nation, the Red Sox, MLB. I mean, everybody championed us, championed Louis and his family around trying to depict, his life the best way we could. And I hope and I think, and that movie will live on for infinity.
Well, it will. It'll be the source which all people interested in the great story Luis Tiant will. And by the way, my wife found it on YouTube. I have a DVD, but. Is there any other place that people can go just to watch this movie in its entirety?
It's a little bit tough. I think, we don't know where, we don't know where it's going to live right now. But, someone is reaching out to ESPN to potentially see if we could rebroadcast it or not. I don't know.
Yeah, because they bought it, right? I mean, they bought the rights to it, right? ESPN?
They had the TV rights for a long time, but it's been a little while. So, yeah.
Well, as you said, now's the time that they should put it back on there with Louis pulling on a cigar.
And the other thing that's, I hope, and sadly, people are talking about it again in his passing. But he belongs in the Hall of Fame. We all know that. Everyone knows that.
Well, yeah.
Hopefully. We'll see.
Well, I always look to one thing when it's time to figure out whether Louis belongs in the Hall of Fame, and I've been arguing this for years now because I love the guy. You just take Catfish Hunter and put his numbers right next to Luis Tiant's, and here's what it is: 3,400 innings pitched, 224 wins for Hunter, 229 for Louis. ERA, 3.26 for Hunter, 3.30 for Louis. Louis had 2,416 strikeouts, 400 more than Catfish Hunter, and he had 49 shutouts. Hunter had 42. If Hunter's in the Hall of Fame, Louis goddamn well should be in there as well. He knew it. Everybody should know it. And your telling of that story certainly helps the cause, Kris Meyer. And thanks for coming on, buddy.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
You're a good guy.
We'll miss El Tiante.
We sure will, bud. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kris Meyer, who's a hell of a, he's been involved in a lot of great movies. And I just once, I wish he could have gotten me a walk-on part in one of these movies.
I was going to ask, what the hell? Dennis and Callahan are in a bunch of movies.
Yeah.
And you're Chris's friend.
Well, in that bowling movie, John Dennis is in it for like 15 minutes.
He's in it for a lot of it.
And a speaking part as well.
Yeah. By the way, he's the one that gave me the news about
too.
Luis Tiant. We were on the golf course, and he got a phone call from somebody telling him about Louis, and he told me, I was like, oh, I don't want to play the rest of this round. I got to leave.
Try Rico again?
You want to try Rico again? Why not? While we're doing a tribute to Louis, Rico and Louis always had a good back and forth going. We'll try Rico one more time and see what we can't do.
Oh, he's got his phone shut off.
He does?
I think so. Hold on.
That's not good.
Please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up.
Let's do a message. Hey, Rico, it's Mikey and Bill Smith and Ben Kitchen. We missed you. We had Bill Lee on. We had Kris Meyer on, the producer of the movie about Luis Tiant, and we were hoping to talk to you, but maybe we get you next week, old friend. We'll get you. You Sheep's Head Bay guys, you'd like to hide from the truth. We'll talk to you soon, pal. Rico will get that news. Anyway, I don't want to do a silly song.
Do you want to play the trailer to The Lost Son of Havana at the end instead of Castiglione?
You can do that. Can you play it on the video and everything?
Oh, yeah, sure.
We can do anything here.
I can do that.
See, that's the good thing about Ben. Yeah. For all of his absenteeism, when he actually shows up, he adds something to the show, which is tremendous. Before we do that, though, let's look for names that are trending for girls. This bothers me a little bit.
Louis?
No.
No, I thought that's why we were tying it together.
These are the names that I found this on the internet. The names that are trending now for girls' names when you have a baby.
Madison.
Birdie. Elsie.
Birdie.
Nellie. Stevie.
I like Nellie.
Scotty.
Yeah.
Those are my two male cousins' names.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
Lilani. Kelani. Milani. Elani.
That's a lot of Hawaiians.
There's a lot of Lanis. The great thing about Hawaii is, and this is why they have so many babies popping out down there. You get the first thing you get off the plane, they give you a free lay. Number 10 is Maple, Poppy. How about the name Ripley? Believe it or not, that's number 13.
Oh.
Anyway, we're out of time. We sorry we missed Rico. We're going to play the Lost Son of Havana official trailer. For those of you who haven't seen this movie, if you're a Luis Tiant fan, and of course we all are, you should check out this movie produced by the Farrelly brothers and Kris Meyer about the great number 23, the late El Tiante.
¿Ellos saben que tú vas?
No.
Ay,
Que
qué
yo sepa.
sorpresa, qué sorpresa se van a llevar. ¿Y qué sorpresa tú te vas a llevar, mijo?
Warming up in the bullpen. Number 23, the pitcher, Luis Tiant.
Standing ovation for Louis. They love him here, don't they?
Y yo estaba herido contigo. Mira, Luisito, mira.
Every time they put me in the TV, she trying to touch me.
It was one man's will against another team's greatness. And in sports, will doesn't beat greatness very often.
Como decir, dieron su vida por mí. es difícil. Ya estoy perdido. Ya, tantos años.